Are the Niners being overlooked, Manti?
Yes, they are. They are being overlooked, and they shouldn't. I'm not overlooking you, San Francisco 49ers. To Kyle Juszczyk's point, I am on the San Francisco 49ers train. Listen, I think this is the best 49ers team that Kyle Shanahan has had since he got to San Francisco. This is definitely the best wide receiving core that Brock Purdy has ever thrown to his entire life.
All offseason, the headlines in the NFC West have been about how the Seattle Seahawks are getting ready to defend their title, or they've been about how the LA Rams have built a super team that's ready to brush aside everybody in their path. In other words, doesn't it seem like we're forgetting someone?
San Francisco, I think people might be sleeping on them, just because.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, look, when they're healthy, historically under Kyle Shanahan, when they're healthy, they're good.
Yep.
They're a contender. And
they're rarely healthy.
Let's see it right. That's the problem. But if Bosa, Fred Warner, Trent Williams, it's like they're going for it now.
Despite sharing a division with two of the NFL's very best teams last year and suffering another raft of injuries, the 49ers still won 12 games and managed a road playoff win in Philadelphia. This offseason, they've added a few shiny new pieces, and of course, they're still coached by one of the very best in the business. For anyone ignoring these Niners, well, they might get a rude awakening pretty quickly in 2026, because this is not the same San Francisco 49ers team, and they're ready to chase Lombardi number 6. This video is brought to you by Prize Picks. For starters, let's talk about the most exciting new addition to the team's passing game during this offseason.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has happened. Mike Evans is expected to sign a 3-year deal with the San Francisco 49ers. Just moments after Shrake said, hey, this Evans deal is coming soon. And he believes that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are now out of the conversation for Mike Evans. Adam Schefter says, while you're saying that, Shrakes, let me actually tell you what's happening. The Niners now have a first ballot Hall of Famer, a man who has been able to accomplish great things no matter who's playing quarterback, has won a Super Bowl, has experienced the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the top.
Last year, the lack of a true number 1 wideout was the 49ers' Achilles heel, with Brandon Ayuk going AWOL for the entire season and Deebo Samuel departing for Washington. There was no easy option for Brock Purdy to throw to on every play. I mean, Juwan Jennings led the receiving corps with just 643 receiving yards on the year. That's, not ideal for a Super Bowl contender. In 2026, though, that's all changed. After a remarkable career in Tampa Bay that saw him record an NFL record 11 straight 1,000-yard receiving seasons, Mike Evans finally left the Buccaneers at the end of the 2025 campaign. Evans is a genuine legend in Tampa as the best receiver the franchise has ever had, and a man who helped them to victory over the Chiefs at home in Super Bowl 55. This year, though, he'll be wearing a different red jersey, as he looks to be the focal point of this passing attack and chase a second career ring in California. For just $42.5 million over 3 years, it looks like the Niners have pulled off a masterstroke here.
He'll make a difference. Kyle Shanahan hasn't had, number one, a target with this type of size that is proven. Consistently gonna get open. Yep. And if he's not open, he catching the ball anyway.
Yep.
He's a quarterback's dream because just put it in the vicinity, he probably gonna come down with the ball. And so the way Shanahan designs plays, he's just going to put him in position. I mean, even for Mike Evans has to be going through these OTAs and mini camps and feeling like, damn.
At 6'5", the kind of target that any quarterback would be desperate to have. Honestly, to have a first ballot Hall of Famer as your number 1 wideout, whilst 32 other receivers in the league earn more than him, you've got to say that's good business from San Francisco, especially because he isn't even that old. Evans is 32, and if it hadn't been for injuries, he may well have racked up another 1,000-yard campaign for the Bucs in 2025. He's still the presence that he always was, both on and off the field, and he'll be an absolute menace on the outside for this team all season long. He's a guy that you have to account for at all times, and when you throw the ball his way, you always back him to come down with it. Evans is the guy that the 49ers were crying out for all of last season, but of course, he's not the only new addition that this team has made to the passing game.
Interesting, Adam, the 49ers adding more help to that offense.
They continue to add more weapons. Christian Kirk becomes the latest wide receiver.
I really really like this. I mean, Christian Kirk has had some ups and downs at times, but he's also been clutch in key moments. He's a veteran.
Christian Kirk is now on his 4th team in the NFL, and he's been a solid receiver throughout his time in Arizona, Jacksonville, and Houston. Last year saw him have a quiet year by his standards, but he came alive in January with an 8-reception, 144-yard showing against the Steelers to help his Texans to a 30-6 wildcard victory in that one. The signing of Kirk may not have attracted the same kind of fanfare as the Evans pickup did, but considering that Juwan Jennings has left for Minnesota and Brandon Ayuk appears to have played his last snap in a Niners uniform, it was clear that they'd need more help at the position in 2026. At a base salary of just $3 million, Kirk is an absolute steal for the 49ers. He's been very consistent over the years and is an ideal veteran presence for the youngsters on the roster.
To kick off round 2, the San Francisco 49ers select Ole Miss wide receiver Deshaun Stribling out of Ole Miss. He is a perfect fit for this offense, but he earns a C+ for me because this is really early to take for a guy with his route running ability. He's still raw as a route runner coming out, even though he's that crazy explosive athlete. He's got good hands, and I think why the 49ers draft him here specifically is for his run blocking ability.
Stribling is one of the riskier picks of the draft. You don't often see guys as unpolished as him go that high, but when you watch him on tape, you can definitely see the vision that Kyle Shanahan has for him. We're looking at a ridiculous athlete and a guy who will fire down the field at pace, striking fear into his opponents at all times. Yes, he's a work in progress, but isn't this the perfect place for a high-ceiling wide receiver to start his pro career? Kyle Shanahan remains one of the best offensive minds in football, and he's made a career out of developing young playmakers and getting the very best out of them. Just look at what he developed Brandon Ayuk into before he went AWOL. Last year, Christian McCaffrey was the team's leading receiver with 924 yards. As phenomenal as CMC is, he can't carry the running and receiving games with only George Kittle for support. But with this new-look passing attack, we're talking about a totally different 49ers offense for 2026. Big thanks to PrizePicks for sponsoring the channel. If you follow this channel, you know that PrizePicks is the #1 sports pick app in the country because it keeps things simple. No complicated drafts. Just pick a few players, decide if they'll go more or less on their stats, and you're in. They've even expanded to team picks, so you can call the winner, the spread, or the game total on top of your player projections. And on top of all that, PrizePicks is available in most states, including California, Texas, and Florida. So if we want to look ahead to the 2026 NFL season, I'm really eyeing Christian McCaffrey. I think he easily clears more than his touchdown total if he stays healthy. If you stack that with Travis Kelce going more on his yards, the value is definitely there. Man, I already can't wait to see how this plays out come September. Let me know what you're building. Check the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today and use code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Of course, the defense remains a serious problem for other teams to deal with as well, especially now that this guy's back.
We got to keep it pushing. The San Francisco 49ers have reunited the linebackers that took them to the Super Bowl last time they were there. Dre Greenlaw is signing back with his former team on a 1-year, $7.5 million. I'll let you guys take a listen.
Dre Greenlaw, hands down, because he just, you talk about just somebody that got that pure dog in him, that pure wolf that we talk about, man. He's got it, and anytime I got to line up with alongside Dre all those years when we played together, I think we played 6 or 7 years together, man. It was such a pleasure because I knew when I was next to him that we were good. I was set, because I knew I got a guy who was in the exact same frame of mind that I was.
The return of Dre Greenlaw is exactly what this 49ers team needed at the heart of the defense. Fred Warner sums him up perfectly here as a guy with a superb mentality who plays without fear and sets the standard for the 49ers in the locker room. Oh, and he's one hell of a tackler as well. Greenlaw spent last year in Denver where he managed just 8 games in an injury-hit season, but he still played his part in the Broncos' journey all the way to the AFC Championship game. Now he signed a $7.5 million 1-year deal in San Francisco as he reunites reunites with Fred Warner, creating arguably the most fearsome linebacker duo in the NFL. Of course, Greenlaw has unfinished business in San Francisco, having suffered a brutal injury in the second quarter of Super Bowl 58 against Kansas City. When the 49ers lost that one by the narrowest of margins, you couldn't help but wonder that maybe they would have edged out the Chiefs had Greenlaw lasted the entire game. Maybe this year we'll find out. Despite suffering several key injuries throughout the season, the Niners were still impressive on defense in 2025. For the most part, they still had one glaring weakness on that roster: the ability to get to the quarterback and cause problems up front.
I'm excited to bring on an incredible guest. 5 years in the NFL, 216 tackles, 17 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles with the Dallas Cowboys. Now he's with the faithful, the San Francisco 49ers. Please help me welcome defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa. Appreciate you joining us, brother.
I'm glad to be here working with everybody. It's a great organization from top to bottom. I feel like it's definitely just a winning mentality over here, so it's cool to be a part of that and go from one good organization to another one.
Osa Odighizuwa is exactly the kind of force that the 49ers need up front to take charge of games and strike fear into the hearts of offensive linemen. When all 294 pounds of him come charging towards you at the defensive tackle position, it creates problems, not just for quarterbacks, but for running backs trying to find a route to the line of scrimmage. Even more importantly though, this guy should be back in 2026.
Yeah, I definitely need to take a leadership role, for sure. I think it's one thing to come in and work on my job and get better, which is all I've ever really worried about. And then it's another thing to try and bring everybody along with you. So it's definitely something that I'm thinking about and something I want to do.
Nick Bosa suffered a brutal ACL tear in Week 3 last season, ending his 2025 prematurely. As a result, it seems like people have forgotten just how incredible a force he really is when healthy and at his very best. Just 4 years ago, Bosa led the league in sacks with 18.5 and was deservedly named Defensive Player of the Year, ahead of the likes of Micah Parsons, Chris Jones, and Myles Garrett. When Bosa is fully healthy, that's the kind of company he's in. A truly elite defensive player who can ruin an offense's day all by himself. But of course, he doesn't have to do it all on his own with this 49ers squad. With Odighizuwa on the defensive line alongside him, they'll be giving O-linemen nightmares all day long. He's not the only Niners defender returning from injury this year either, though he was spoken about as a potential top 10 pick, and 49ers fans should be very excited to watch his bounce back year in 2026. Williams was a national champion as a Georgia Bulldog, and was named to all SEC teams on 2 separate occasions. He's not even close to his ceiling yet, and the Niners faithful have definitely not seen his final form. With a breakout year from him and a return to form from Nick Bosa, this Niners team is definitely going to record more than their league worst 20 sacks from 2025, especially when you have guys like Odighizuwa, Warner, and Greenlaw coming through the middle as well. Now, the one negative bit of news is that the team has lost its defensive coordinator during this offseason again. Robert Saleh was given the head coaching job in Tennessee, but his replacement should be more than up to the task.
The Niners finally got their defensive coordinator. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Shout out to the Black History Month hire Raheem Morris. Adam Schefter reports, the Niners are set to hire former Falcons head coach Raheem Morris as their new defensive coordinator. Morris is expected to replace Robert Saleh. Obviously, Saleh moving on to the Titans. Let me start this one off. I love this hire, fellas, because when the Niners have a great defense, they have a great team. When the Niners have a good defense, they have a mediocre team. And the fact of the matter is, Raheem Morris is a Super Bowl champion defensive coordinator.
Whilst it's fair to say that his time as Falcons head coach didn't go to plan, Raheem Morris's credentials as a defensive coordinator were never in question. During his time with the Rams, Morris handled the defensive side of the ball while Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford led the offense all the way to glory in Super Bowl 55. And in Atlanta in 2025, his defense produced the second most sacks in the NFL with 57. That's music to the ears of a 49ers team who ranked dead last in that category. Morris is an excellent coach, but crucially, he understands how to win the biggest games and help his team come out on top when it matters most. He's got the pieces to work with as well, as the 49ers attempt to overcome both the Seahawks and the Rams during the 2026 season. Of course, this won't be an easy task. Those two were arguably the best teams in the entire league last season. Not only that, both of them are arguably even better now. But for the 49ers, they can match either of those teams on their day, and they managed to beat both of them throughout the course of the 2025 season. It really does seem like everyone's forgotten just how good these Niners can be as they prepare themselves for another assault on the Lombardi Trophy.
They're tapping into their athleticism. You bring back Fred Warner, you bring back Nick Bosa, you bring back Michael Williams. You have all of your field tilter players back on that side of the ball. I think this team could still be a playoff caliber team just because Kyle Shanahan is still one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Being written off, ignored, and disrespected might be exactly how the 49ers like it. They're one of the league's very best teams, but yet no one seems to be talking about them in those terms. But when you've got guys like Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Mike Evans on one side of the ball, then you've got Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw, and Nick Bosa on the other, that's a team you just can't write off. So when the season starts, don't be surprised if the 49ers end up right at the top with the Rams and Seahawks. When January football begins, expect Kyle Shanahan and his men to be there, ready to conquer the pro football world and bring ring number 6 to Santa Clara. Don't say we didn't warn you. The question we have is, do you agree with our take? Let us know in the comments.